From Harry Potter to Game of Thrones, Supernatural, Super Mario, Dragon Ball, The Simpsons, Hunger Games, Halo, Minecraft, Marvel, DC, Twilight, 50 Shades, South Park, The OC, Friends, Barbie, My Little Pony. Planet Earth is never in short supply of creative universes to escape to, but when it comes to the fandoms that follow such universes, not too many come close to the vocal and currently unstable fan base that surrounds one such as Star Wars these days. And with the recent division of the fan base following the release of the controversial Star Wars The Last Jedi film, plus the box office failure of Solo, A Star Wars Story, it's hard to not wonder how a popular and successful franchise that has been around since the late 70s is seemingly on a harsh decline. Why is this so? How did this happen? Who should we blame? Should we perhaps blame the president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy? What about The Last Jedi writer and director Rian Johnson? What about J.J. Abrams? Solo screenwriter Jon Kasdan? So-called Star Wars fatigue? The fans? The lack of podracing in the sequel trilogy? Perhaps. Perhaps it is all of this, plus more. However, regardless of the cause, it is times like these that the return of the creative mind that ignited it all may be a way to turn this whole thing around.
Skywalker's in trouble.
Star Wars fans are in a state of unrest. They are upset, and it seems that every other day there is another story about Star Wars that gets circulated. Whether it be the claims that fans are man-babies for analysing art, the attacks on actors, or the attacks from the creative minds in control upon the fans, there is always something in the headlines. Whatever the story is for the particular day, however, it is always interesting to watch it unfold. But it does make you wonder why the people higher up don't just release an official statement that says something along the lines of, "Hey, we understand people are upset and we acknowledge it and are doing our best to keep this franchise afloat." After all, one of the first rules in any successful relationship is to communicate, and if companies like Marvel and Blizzard can listen and respond to their market, it is a little confusing that the same isn't done here. Although I do digress, those in charge have no obligation to say anything, nor do they have any obligation to please anybody but themselves. They are, at the end of the day, in control, and they can do what they like. Furthermore, if they did happen to listen to the fans all of the time, then it is highly probable that we would be left with more fan service than what was jammed into The Force Awakens and Rogue One combined, which could then potentially result in an even faster decay of the franchise than what we see nowadays. Creativity, differentiation, and unexpected twists can certainly keep this franchise fresh, which can't help but synthesize the thought of whether or not the creative mind that brought us all of it could turn things around, i.e. the creative mind that brought us memorable characters like Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and R2-D2. Memorable moments like our first look at a Star Destroyer chasing a spaceship, a cantina filled with aliens, the trench run, and memorable phrases like,
"I got a bad feeling about this."
And may the Force be with you.
No, I am your father.
And weaved it all into a story that changed everything in the industry. The same creative mind that the entire world knows as George Lucas, the writer, director, dad, the guy that was turned down by studios with his ideas, the founder of Lucasfilm, THX, and ILM, the pioneer for pushing the boundaries in filmmaking and technology, one of the reasons that we have movies with CGI like The Terminator, Avatar, and Jurassic Park. And of course, the same person behind films like American Graffiti, Indiana Jones, and the juggernaut that is Star Wars. While some people may hate on the man that brought millions of people a beloved universe following the prequel trilogy, haters don't always see things clearly. After all, Star Wars was his story. It was his vision, his creation. So how it turned out is how he wanted it to turn out. And really, when was the last time those that hate the prequels wrote a story that impacted so many people anyway? Similarly, when do people that are high up in the film industry, like Steven Spielberg for example, ever rag on him? Sure, the prequels are loaded with some awkward dialogue, a couple of characters that were unnecessary, and potentially utilised too much CGI, but they will forever be what Lucas intended the entire saga of Anakin Skywalker to be, and they were creative to say the least. For one, the symbolism that is riddled throughout can make anyone appreciate what they turned out to be. From the virgin birth of Anakin in and of the Force itself, to Anakin making a deal with the devil, to the final battle being taken down into the fiery depths of hell, the prequels come loaded with interesting and creative components. But you can't expect anything less from the creative mind of George Lucas. Where Disney wanted to make a retro movie for the fans, Lucas just wanted to tell a story. And he always worked hard to do so. He always worked hard to make every movie different in their own unique way, which is why we have such an expansive universe of planets, characters, and potential storylines that can forever be cashed in on, that were all established prior to him selling the franchise in 2012. Perhaps this is where the problems stem from. After all, it's all well and good for people to come in and continue a story, take it in different directions, offer their own take on the universe, but Lucas was the original creator. The guy that had to think of the backstory and plan out just what had happened before the events that we first witnessed in the original 1977 film. He had to create it all. He knows the ins and outs to the universe, and while of course everything that he came up with isn't perfect, nothing ever is, mind you. Nothing will ever please everybody. If it wasn't for Lucas, we wouldn't have this whole universe, this escape, this imagination-inducing storyline, and the Nintendo 64 podracing game that definitely needs to be remade. And to think, George Lucas did all of this without trying to please anybody. He, at the end of the day, just wanted to create. He just wanted to tell a story. And with the recent vocalization of what direction he would have intended the sequel trilogy to go in, it does raise a few eyebrows of what could have resulted. Sure, it could have been hated even more than the prequel trilogy, but perhaps it could have tied it all in together nicely. Maybe we will never know, nor will we ever seemingly know what he had planned with those 100-odd scripts for the TV show titled Underworld, or what direction the Clone Wars and games like 1313 would have gone in if they weren't cancelled following the Disney takeover. What we do know, however, is that despite Lucas stating that it is like a breakup and it is easier for him to sever all ties with the franchise, that even just a little bit of creative input could help turn this whole thing around. It could reinvigorate the story once again, bring excitement to the universe, shape the direction that the much anticipated Kenobi film could go in, or even offer some unexplored plot points that could be inserted into the trilogies that have been announced recently. After all, it is his universe, he knows it the best, and if Mark Hamill even wants him back...
He's still old enough to do a lot more movies. Or young enough to do a lot of movies. You too. Huh? You too. No, I'm out of the game.
Then who are we to judge if they decide to reach out to the man that started it all? Or have they already?